Before we jump into today's show, I was looking at the YouTube analytics for the Broncos Breakdown and the Chiefs Report here at Chat Sports, and look at the likes. They have us beat on the last video. 148 likes for us, 216 for the bad guys. So help us take down the Chiefs Report in likes. Hit that thumbs up button to start the show. Welcome on into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, talking about a starting cornerback potentially coming to Denver after he was linked to the Broncos in a Bleacher Report article. So let's jump right into it, because free agent corner Ahkello Witherspoon was the suggested free agent target for the Broncos as the folks at Bleacher Report combed through all 32 teams and picked one free agent for every single team. Now, Witherspoon last year for the Rams, his first year in LA, started all 17 games. The first time in his NFL career he's ever done that, after early on in his career dealing with a lot of injuries year after year. Maybe now he's starting to find some success in staying healthy and being a really good producer for whatever team he is on. I am very much on board with this. Let me just kind of get that out in the open right now. And it's not because I think Witherspoon is some perennial all-time great starting CB2 for a team. No, it's because I think Denver should not overlook adding some veteran help at the cornerback position. Witherspoon last year for the Rams, 52 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 14 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Now, there is something to be said about his lack of availability before last season, and that's definitely a concern, and a big concern. But if we're just talking about signing a corner, I'm not going to get my panties in a bunch over which corner it is. I'm on board with signing a cornerback, period. Especially one that last year, we're talking about the CB2 rollout job on this team. He ranked 69th out of 127 qualifying corners, according to PFF. So we're talking about a near middle of the pack type of corner. And to me, when it's this late in the game, when it comes to free agency, beggars can't be choosers. I just saw the Atlanta Falcons sign a guy that hasn't played in the NFL since 2021. So yeah, I'm going to be open to a cornerback that started 17 games last year and ranked in the middle of all starting corners. Especially when you look at the Broncos cornerback room, which lost starting cornerback Fabian Moreau in free agency, or at least hasn't re-signed him yet. Maybe they will. I don't think they can turn back to Damari Mathis. So that leaves you with really one option, in my opinion. Riley Moss. And we'll unpack that in option in just a second here. But I want to get everyone watching involved really quickly in the comment section. Scroll on down. Just give me a simple Y or N when it comes to whether or not the Broncos should sign a cornerback. Now, like I was saying, when it comes to Riley Moss, I say it's probably mostly me. I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself to just want to go find a new starting corner, because I haven't fairly given him a good look at that starting CB2 job. But I also think I've got a good reason for why. And that was last year when you made the change from Damari Mathis, you had a third-round pick that you traded up for, and the coaching staff was super high on, and he didn't get an opportunity to start. To me, that was a major red flag. Like, he wasn't even the first guy off the bench at that spot. So I'm not really sure where this coaching staff views Riley Moss. Do they think he is a starting cornerback in this league, or is he unfortunately just a bit of a draft bust? It's way too early to say, and I also think it's unfair to Moss because he missed all of training camp and preseason of his rookie year, the absolute worst time to miss training camp and preseason. But I think just blindly handing the reins over to him, you may find yourself in a position where you were last year with Damari Mathis, who was only a fourth-round pick later, or 1 round later, a fourth-rounder, compared to Moss in round number 3. So we'll talk about some draft targets for Denver at cornerback if they don't want to go sign a veteran like Witherspoon next up on the show. But today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. That is the backbone of Prize Picks, because all you got to do is pick 2 to 6 players. Choose more or less on their projected stats. You can win big money. Another great feature about Prize Picks is some other places make it really difficult to withdraw your winnings. At Prize Picks, it's very simple. It just takes a few touches and clicks, and you're good to go. Now, if you want to have some extra investment in the national championship game in a few hours, or depending on when you're watching this, right now. These are my selections for the game, so you can either laugh at me if you're watching this after the game is over, or be like, man, that PDI, he knows some basketball. But if you like my selections, download Prize Picks today. Use code CLNS, and you can ride with me, you can fade me, you can make your own, whatever it may be. Just do it at Prize Picks. Download the app or go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, let's say Denver decides to go to the draft to add to their cornerback room, because I sure hope they do make some level of addition just for the sake of depth and overall training camp battles. Here are Mel Kiper's top 10 cornerbacks, and I think Denver should walk away with one of these guys. Now, they may not, because if they don't make any trades, they're only picking at 12 and 76, and if they don't go cornerback at 12, which I think is a possibility that they wait, these 10 guys may not be there, and in fact, they probably won't be there at pick 76. So let's say they want to go cornerback at 12 in round number 1. Terrion Arnold, he's my guy. I think he is the best cornerback in this draft class. I do like Quinyon Mitchell a lot out of Toledo because he has so much versatility to his game. The NFL teams really value that out of their corners that can play outside and inside. But to me, Arnold, if there's a cornerback in this class, and this isn't a hot take or anything, I had to put money down to say he's going to make a Pro Bowl, Arnold would be my pick. I think he is just that surefire of a prospect. He is a shutdown corner with great ball skills, 8 pass breakups last year, 5 interceptions, a forced fumble to go along with it, has good tackling habits, 63 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. I mean, he hardly got picked on in coverage last year, only gave up 441 yards, about a 50% completion percentage when targeted. Arnold, to me, is the safe play at pick number 12, where if you're not really sure what you want to do, but you want to find a starting player, go get Terrion Arnold, pair him with Patrick Surtain. I know that's not going to result in a bunch of wins for 2024, but it's going to make this roster better. I can guarantee you that much. Now, let's say Denver decides to trade back from pick number 12, which I think is a very real possibility to try and get back into round 2. Cooper DeJean is a name to watch for. And it's funny because if the Broncos were impressed by Riley Moss, there's no way they don't like Cooper DeJean. I mean, not just from the unicorn element, but if they were watching, which I'm sure they were, Riley Moss tape last year, I wonder how often they got confused between the two white corners and maybe accidentally attributed some of Cooper DeJean's successes to Riley Moss, because Cooper DeJean, there are a couple Iowa defenders who are going to be drafted over last year and this year, and he's the best of the whole bunch. And one of these guys went before Cooper DeJean most likely in the draft. Lucas Van Ness, a top 15, top 16 pick by the Green Bay Packers last year. Now, Cooper DeJean did suffer an injury to end the 2023 season, cut his year short, but from a concern standpoint, I'm at a near 0. I understand that players coming into the pros with an injury history is something that teams should do their homework on, but as Dane Brugler, who I think is one of the best NFL draft insiders, pointed out at Cooper DeJean's pro day, because he was unable to go at the combine, 4.43 40-yard dash. For reference, Terrion Arnold, who is my number 1 corner, he ran a 4.49. So Cooper DeJean, faster. I don't really know if the vert and broad are incredible. I've never seen a cornerback be asked to jump 10 feet forward, but outstanding workout. So if it's got the stamp of approval from Dane Brugler, it's got my stamp of approval. So if you see Denver trade back, maybe they decide to go with an all-white cornerback backfield, and they're just ready for that Rashard Mendenhall scenario. Let's say Denver decides to wait till round 3 to go after a corner. I think this would be a name to keep an eye on. It's one of the leaders of an elite defense last year in college football, Michigan Wolverines cornerback Mike Sandstrill, who started his career off at wide receiver, made the change to corner, and he really flourished in that spot. 44 tackles, 6 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. He was all over the field. If you watched Michigan at all, if you're a Michigan fan, you're definitely be pounding the table and pounding your chest for get this man in Denver, because I think he is being overlooked by a lot of different publications for a reason I can't really figure out. Is he the perfect size for a corner? Not necessarily, but physically he may not be the number one guy in this draft, but from play and game speed to just overall football IQ, if you're going to be an elite defender for a Michigan Jim Harbaugh-led defense, you got to know what you're doing. And I think Sandstrom, he checks a lot of boxes. So when it comes to a round 3 cornerback target, this would be a name to keep an eye on. Someone I think would make a really good pick for the Broncos. He offers some flexibility about being an inside or an outside cornerback when he gets to the pros. So let me ask you this question. Let's say Denver only picks at 12 and 76. Should one of their first 2 picks in the draft be a cornerback? Type D for draft, type P for pass. Or do you have that much confidence and faith in, no, Riley Moss is going to make a great starting cornerback. We don't need to double dip at this spot. We can go address edge rusher and quarterback with those first 2 picks. There are very good arguments to make for both sides. For me, I think it comes down to who's the best player available when you're on the clock at 12 and 76. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, consider subscribing. Helps grow the channel, helps us get more studio space, and then you guys can get more content at home.